This anime season has been stacked with amazing shows like Attack on Titan, Re:Zero, and Mushoku Tensei, but I want to talk about my favorite show from this season, and that is Wandering Priority. This anime is beautiful in so many ways, from the characters, to the weird story, to the art and animation, to even the music. Everything about this show is so beautiful, and I honestly believe that it's the best show this season, and that is probably a hot take considering the only thing people seem to be talking about every week is Attack on Titan, and I love Attack on Titan. It's an amazing show this season, a literal modern classic, but Wandering Priority is just so beautiful in every sense of the word. At the beginning of the show, maybe a little bit hard to follow, actually reminds me of Madoka Magica in that its seemingly lighthearted exterior covering up for something much darker, and that is something that I love about the show. In its most recent episodes, it has gone more out in the open about its premise, but the entire show has been about 4 girls coping with bullying, depression, regret, and all of those negative emotions, and honestly, Wandering Priority handles all of those topics extremely well, which is one of the reasons why I fell in love with the show in the first place, because it knows fully well what it is and what its characters are, and it writes them to be these amazing girls who grow and change and becomes better people throughout the series, and that is awesome. But the animation in this series is next level. There aren't too many shows that can challenge Violet Evergarden for the top spot in terms of animation, but if there ever were a show, Wandering Priority is it. This show looks beautiful through and through. Everything is beautiful about it, from the backgrounds to the characters themselves, and this show has handled everything extremely well, and that is why it is the best show this season. Now, that is the end of the non-spoiler review. I would highly recommend checking out this series if you haven't. It is truly amazing, and I promise you, you will love it. Now, as much as I love Wandering Priority, there is still one problem with the show, and it's not something inherently bad, but it's still a problem, and that is despite the fact that the story is confusing as fuck, it is still very predictable. Like, I knew from the very beginning those freaking SAC dudes, or scientist dudes, or whatever you want to call them, were up to something, because it was set up in a way to make sure that we knew that. And I mean, everything was happening and felt too convenient in my opinion. You can just straight up revive dead people by defending other dead people. That is interesting, but I'm not sure that it doesn't come without a price, as what I think they're hinting at in episode 10, when Momoe saves her friend and she ends up getting attacked and literally traumatized by the end of the episode. Those guys are up to something, and I'm excited to figure out what it is, but I knew those guys weren't good from the very beginning because of how everything was set up. The characters in Wandering Priority are amazing. They genuinely feel like real people, and their development throughout the story as well has been insane. Honestly, the way that the character writing was done throughout the show has caught me off guard. The characters all feel real, despite the fact that they are in very unreal circumstances. But what I love the most is that Wandering Priority handles a topic like depression extremely well. They don't shy away from showing something like cutting yourself or self-doubt, and honestly, I love that about this series so much. These characters are some of the best written characters I have seen in anime. Oto Ai, or Ai-chan, is the protagonist of our story, and she is also probably my favorite character of the 4 girls. Ai, at the very beginning of the story, is a hikikomori, or a shut-in if you want to use English terms, due to the bullying she suffered from her heterochromia, as well as the fact that her only friend committed suicide. But over time, as she's going through trying to revive her friend, she meets 3 other girls, all with very similar circumstances, and becomes friends with them, and slowly but surely she starts to open back up to people, and she even goes back to school now, which is a huge step forward for her character. Ai, as a character, is a well-written, funny girl who had gone through a lot of horrible experiences, all due to things she couldn't help, like her eyes, and honestly, Ai's character is amazing. Neiru is the first of the main characters besides Ai that we are introduced to, and when we are first introduced to her, she comes off as a bit of a rude and arrogant person, but as we find out later, she isn't as good at talking to people, which is relatable as fuck. But what I love about her character is that when we learn about the reason why she's fighting and going through all this effort, it's to save her sister, even though she almost killed Neiru. But as we figure out later, Neiru is a part of this group of geniuses, and her sister was into experimenting with death and ended up killing herself, and Neiru talks to her in the egg world. We learn about her and Neiru's past as well, and it is super interesting and awesome. But another thing that I love about her character is that she seems to know more about what's going on than the other girls, and it's not just because she's a genius as we saw in episode 10. Her assistant is helping Akka and Uraka, so I'm assuming that's where she gets most of her info. Neiru's character is interesting for a lot of reasons. She's a genius who isn't good at talking to people and eventually ends up opening up just like the other, and that is what makes her character so awesome. Rika, the third of the main girls, is introduced to us as a former idol still clinging on to when she was once popular, referring to one of her fans as her wallet, and although her behavior hasn't really changed much in terms of how she acts, I can see why she acts this way. Her mother is someone who clearly slept around when she was young. She doesn't even know who Rika's father is, which is crazy, but another thing is that Rika as a child was told that a beautiful woman doesn't need a wallet. Someone will always offer to pay for her, and that is a toxic mindset that she has taken to heart, likely due to the fact that she was a popular idol at one point, but but the turning point for her character for me was when in episode 8, an episode entirely focused on Rika. We get to see her life and how she tackles with depression and how she cuts herself and has extremely low self-esteem. Her character is amazing for all the right reasons. At first, she is seen as someone extremely unlikable, an arrogant douchebag who thinks she can have whatever she wants as long as she just asks for it, to this depressed girl with low self-esteem just barely clinging on to life in this vain hope that she can save the person who she feels like she killed, and that is what I love about Rika's character. Momoe, in my opinion, is the most boring of the 4 main girls, and that's not to say she's a bad character, because that would be wrong to say so, especially after what we saw in episode 10, but overall, I feel like her character has been the most stagnant of all the girls. Episode 10, however, is an episode that is entirely focused on her, and we get to see the struggles that she goes through more up front, instead of it just being stated throughout the series. She has always been very self-conscious about her appearance, and the fact that people always mistake her for being a boy, and in this episode, that is in the forefront, especially since she is fighting to protect a trans person, which, by the way, is fucking awesome. But anyway, during this fight, the boss she is fighting even mistakes her for being a guy, and that is what triggers her self-conscious attitude. But when she ends up speaking with the guy she is trying to save, he talks to her about his own struggles about being a guy stuck in a girl's body, and that he himself is self-conscious, especially since nobody believed him when he came out, and that is what triggers Momoe's will to fight this boss and allow her to grow a little more as a person. When she screams that she is a girl in her last attack, you can feel her emotions in it, and I absolutely love that Momoe is also the first person to succeed in rescuing the person she was trying to rescue, but in doing so, she was nearly killed by some crazy girl, most likely working for Aka and Aka, and when we see how traumatized she is at the end of the episode, it really solidifies her character as she will overcome this in the future and fight, I'm sure of that. The animation in Wonder Egg Priority looks amazing. I honestly think it's the best looking show this season, followed very closely by Mushoku Tensei, but seriously, this show looks so damn good. It definitely competes with Violet Evergarden for being the best anime. The animation in this show is so smooth that it is very hard to spot where they might have cut corners at, and that is something that we all want to see, because when the cut corners are noticeable, it just takes you out of the show. But with Wonder Egg Priority, you don't get to see that. It is very smooth looking 100% of the time, and that is what makes the show so awesome in the first place. The music in Wonder Egg Priority as well sounds so good. The OP is awesome and the OSTs are amazing as well. The music in the show is also used perfectly when setting up scenes and when playing in the background. When music flows so well into the background that it is hardly noticeable, that's how you know it's some good music. And the fact that the music is also emotional as well just adds to the amazing factor of it, and seriously, the music in Wonder Egg Priority is amazing, and one of the reasons why the show is so damn good. Wonder Egg Priority is the best show of this season by a long shot. Sure, Attack on Titan is literally a modern classic in the making, but I still feel like I have had more of an emotional attachment to Wonder Egg Priority than I have had Attack on Titan. Wonder Egg Priority just does everything right in terms of art and animation, to the music, and even the story and characters. Everything about this show is next level, and that's why I think this show is by far the best show this season.